Hi, it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have for us to do this cute little baby hat. I have this in two sizes. This is the baby size. This will fit a baby with a head circumference of 14 to 16 inches. And then I have the toddler size, and this will be a size 16 to 18 inches. Both hats are made with Red Heart with Love. You'll use a different hook size for each hat. The color I used with Red Heart with Love is called Papaya. You do not have to use this particular yarn, but I would recommend a medium 4 worsted weight yarn. This is an acrylic yarn. Again, you don't have to use this yarn. It's just the one that I chose to use. You will need approximately 100 yards, so you wouldn't use a ball this large for just one hat. You could probably get 3 to 4 hats depending on what size hat you are making. For the baby hat, the baby size, you will need a F hook, 3.75 millimeter hook. For the larger size, the toddler size, you're going to need a H 5.0 millimeter hook. I put a button on the toddler size. I did not put one on the baby size. That's completely up to you. You're also going to want a stitch marker and a yarn needle and a pair of scissors. So once you have all of your supplies, let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, and let's start working on Sophie's shell stitch hat. To start Sophie's hat, we're going to be using a magic ring technique. If you're unfamiliar with the magic ring, or it's just not something that you like to use, you can always start with a slip knot, chain 2, and then second chain from hook, place your first round. So to start the magic ring, we're going to place our yarn over our first 2 fingers, wrap it around to form that X. Place your hook under the bottom strand, turn, grab that top strand, pull it through and twist, grab your working yarn, and make a chain stitch. That secures your ring. Since we're going to be working with double crochets to start with, we're going to make a second chain to get up to the height of the double crochet. Place 10 double crochets into the magic ring, or if you're doing the chain 2, into the second chain from hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10. I'm going to grab that tail, cinch up the magic ring, and count back your stitches so you know which one is your first stitch. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So slip stitch into that first double crochet that you made. To start round 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And since we're only doing a chain 1, it might be helpful to use a stitch marker so that you'll be able to find that stitch. The reason we're only using a chain 1 at the end of each round or the beginning of each round is it helps form a smaller seam, so it's a little bit less visible at the end. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a front post double crochet into the same stitch that we just did our double crochet into. So we're going to be in essence making 2 stitches into 1. So we're going to insert our hook around the post and pull it up and do a front post double crochet. Then we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch and also a front post double crochet into that next stitch. So regular double crochet into the next stitch and a front post double crochet. So regular double crochet into the next stitch and a front post double crochet in that same stitch. So please repeat this all the way around till you get back to the beginning. You're going to do a regular double crochet and a front post double crochet. Regular double crochet, front post double crochet into the same stitch. I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 2. We now have 20 stitches. You can go ahead and take the stitch marker out and slip stitch into that first double crochet that we made. To start round 3, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to double crochet back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into and replace the stitch marker, and then we're going to double crochet and front post double crochet into the next stitch. So double crochet and front post double crochet into that next stitch. Into the next one, we're going to do just a regular double crochet. Then into the next stitch, we're going to do a regular double crochet and a front post double crochet. That's going to be our repeat pattern all the way around. It's going to be a regular double crochet into the next stitch. Then into the next one is a regular double crochet and a front post double crochet. So again, a double crochet, and a front post double crochet. So please repeat this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 3. We now have 30 stitches. Go ahead and remove our stitch marker and slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet that we made. Chain 1. And to start round 4, we're going to place a double crochet back into the same stitch we just slip stitched into. And let's put our stitch marker right back into that stitch. And we're going to go ahead and double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to do a double crochet and a front post double crochet into the next. So then we're going to put a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 1. Then in the next stitch we're going to do the front post, we're going to do the double crochet and front post double crochet. Let's repeat that one more time. The next 2 stitches, get a double crochet, one each. Then the next stitch gets a double crochet and a front post double crochet. And that is our repeat. So it's 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, a double crochet, and a front post double crochet. Please repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 4. We now have 40 stitches. Remove our stitch marker and slip stitch to that first double crochet that we made. To start round 5, we're going to chain 1 and double crochet back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And put our stitch marker back in there. And we're going to double crochet into the next stitch and the next one. And then the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet and a front post double crochet. So now we're going to be doing double crochet in 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then front post double crochet and double crochet into the next. So 1, 2, 3 stitches with double crochet. Then we're going to do a double crochet, then a front post double crochet into the next stitch. I'll repeat that one more time for you. So double crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Then double crochet and front post double crochet into the next stitch. And you'll really see this pinwheel effect coming out now that we have several rows on. So continue with this pattern all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 5. We now have 50 stitches. Let's take out our stitch marker, and we're going to slip stitch to that first double crochet that we made. To start round 6, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And let's replace our stitch marker. Then we're going to half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. One, 2, 3. Then we're going to place 2 half double crochets into the next. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that. So since we started with the original one, we have 4. So let's half double crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to half double crochet 2 times into the next stitch. So 1 and 2. And I'll repeat that one more time for you. half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. 1 and 2. Please repeat this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. End of round 6. We now have 60 stitches. We are done increasing. Take out our stitch marker and slip stitch into that first half double crochet that we made. To start round 7, we're going to chain 1 and turn the work. For round 7, we're going to be working in the 3rd loop. And if you're unfamiliar with the 3rd loop, let me get out a yarn needle here. So we have our half double crochets, and let me spin this up here so you can see it. These are our back loops and our front loops, and if you tip your work down, right back here is your 3rd loop, and this is the loop that we're going to be working in for this round. So put a half double crochet into that first stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and replace that stitch marker. And we're going to put 1 half double crochet into each stitch around, working into the 3rd loop. And what that does when you work into the 3rd loop, it puts this nice little ridge on the front of your work. So continue placing 1 half double crochet into the 3rd loop all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 7. We still have 60 stitches. Remove our stitch marker and slip stitch into that first half double crochet that we made. To start round 8, we're going to chain 1 and turn the work. We're going to start our round with a single crochet into that first stitch. We're going to go ahead and put our stitch marker back in there. Skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the 3rd stitch we're going to start our shell stitch, which is 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all into 1 stitch. Skip the next 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. Skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and 5 double crochets into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, skip the next 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. We're going to continue this pattern all the way around the hat. Skip 2, 1, 2, and 5 double crochets into the next. Skip 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. So continue the pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of row 8. We have 10 of these double crochet shells, or we still have 60 stitches, however you want to count. We're going to take out our stitch marker and we're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet that we made. To start row 9, we're going to chain 1, and into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, we're going to place a shell. So we're going to do 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker into that first stitch right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to put my stitch marker back into the first stitch. I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third stitch, place a single crochet. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third stitch, place a shell, so 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Oh, got a knot in my yarn. Hold on one moment, please. I apologize. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more is 5. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third one place a single crochet. And that's going to be our pattern all the way around. Skip 2, 1, 2, and place a shell in the third. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2, 1, 2, and a single crochet. So basically your shells are going to be in between on the single crochets from the previous row, and your single crochets are at the top of your shells from the previous rows. So please continue this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. At the end of round 9, we have 10 shells or 60 stitches. Take that stitch marker out, and we're going to slip stitch to that first double crochet that we made. To start round 10, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to place a half double crochet into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. Let's replace our stitch marker. And then we're going to place 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. So this round is just 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I will meet back up with you at the end of the round. At the end of round 10, we have 60 stitches still. Let's take out our stitch marker and slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made. To start round 11, we're going to chain 1 and turn the work. We're going to be working in our third loop again for this round. So we're going to half double crochet in the third loop all the way around that first stitch and replace our stitch marker. Split this stitch right there. We don't want to split the stitch again. Make sure we get all of the stitch. There we go. So place 1 half double crochet into each of the stitches in the 3rd loop all the way around. And I will meet back up with you at the end of the round. We're at the end of round 11. We still have 60 stitches. Let's take out that stitch marker and slip stitch to that first half double crochet that we made. Chain 1 and turn the work to start round 12. I'm going to start with a single crochet in that first stitch, and we're going to skip the next 2, 1, 2, and do a shell stitch, which is 5 double crochets into the next stitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the next 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. Skip the next 2, 1, 2, and shell stitch, which is 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please continue this pattern all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 12. We have 10 shell stitches or 60 stitches. Take our stitch marker out and slip stitch to that first single crochet that we did. To start round 13, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to place a shell stitch into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, which again is 5 double crochets. So let's start with that first double crochet, and we'll go ahead and place that stitch marker and place 4 more in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we should have a total of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and single crochet. Skip the next 2, 1, 2, and another shell stitch, 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and single crochet. So please repeat this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. We're at the end of round 13. We have 10 shell stitches or 60 stitches. I'm going to slip stitch to that first double crochet that we made. Start round 14, we're going to chain 1 and half double crochet back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. So replace our stitch marker. Now round 14 and 15 are both exactly the same. They're going to be 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. And you're going to slip stitch to join at the end of the round. So continue placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch around, to get back to the beginning, slip stitch to join, and then repeat. You'll have 60 stitches in round 14 and 15, and don't forget to slip stitch to join, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 15. I'm at the end of round 15. We still have 60 stitches. Remove the stitch marker, and we're going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet that we made, chain 1, and for round 16, which is our last round, we're going to single crochet in that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And I'm going to go ahead and place that stitch marker again too. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we're going to single crochet 2 together. I like to use a technique when single crocheting 2 together, kind of more like when you're doing amigurumi. So insert into your hook into the front loop of the next stitch, bring it over into the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through both of those loops, then complete your single crochet. It's a less bulky decrease than the traditional. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're going to do a decrease again. So single crochet 2 together again. And insert into that front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through both of those loops, and then complete your single crochet. And you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So single crochet in the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then do the decrease. Insert into the front loop of the next stitch, insert into the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through both those loops, and complete your single crochet. So please repeat this all the way around to get back to the beginning, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 16. We now have 54 stitches, and we're just going to pull straight up and take out the stitch marker, and we're going to get our yarn needle here and thread up our yarn needle so we can fasten off. So we're going to look straight down at our stitches. Here is our first stitch. Right here, we're going to go to the second stitch. So here's our first stitch right here. We're going to go to the second stitch and bring our yarn underneath it, because we're going to create that false stitch over the first stitch. So we're going to go back in through that original stitch, and then we're going to weave our yarn under like this. So we're creating a false stitch over the top of that first stitch. And then we just weave this in here to fasten off. And you just weave it back and forth a few times, which I'll do off camera. So here's the completed hats. This is the toddler size, and I added this little button to it because I just thought it added, made it look cute. You don't have to put a button on yours if you don't want to. And this is the baby size hat, so if you have a size comparison here. I didn't put a button on the baby size. I just, just my personal opinion, I just don't really like to put buttons on things for little babies. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and happy crocheting. Bye-bye.